guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with a ship with me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend. Some really interesting sales. I can't wait to talk to you about them. Show you kind of what sold, how long it sat around for, what I got it for, what I sold it for, and invite you into this part of the process for me. But if you are new here, if this is the first time we're meeting, first and foremost, welcome. I'm Julia. That's my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and reselling here on the internet. If that sounds like something that you are into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, I have been dealing with some house stuff this morning, so I am even more late than I usually am. It is like mid-afternoon now. So I have a lot of pressure to get these things packed up and over to the post office ASAP. So go grab yourself a snack, get yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipments. So the first thing we have here is this beautiful, like, oversized scarf from Eileen Fisher. This is the first and only scarf I've ever found from Eileen Fisher, and I just think it's so pretty. It's ultra lightweight, and it's this beautiful, like, sky blue. And I don't know if you can see the details. I'll see if I can hold that out, maybe zoom in on it. But it's got this beautiful, like, purple thread clip dot to it that gives it a little bit of texture and a little bit of variance in color. It's just beautiful. It's in great condition, and I'm really gonna pick up anything that Eileen Fisher makes. I mean, if you are unfamiliar with Eileen Fisher, if you've been watching me for a while, you certainly know who she is, but if you are new, Eileen Fisher is one of those brands that is like eye-wateringly expensive when you see the actual retail price on it. Something like this scarf, was probably well over $100. You know, if you were to find a sweater, we're talking $300 to $400. The stuff is kind of minimalist, but it's exceptionally well made. The styling is always very classic, and it's very much something that will always be in style. And there are real devotees of the brand. So it's one of those brands that I say, buy confidently. You know, like, you will get profit on it, even if you're paying $9.99 for it. You'll probably, you know, see $30 on pretty much anything that Eileen Fisher makes. This is probably one of the least significant pieces I've ever found from her. I'm still gonna get it now. I did source this at the bins, but I still probably would have picked it up if I saw it in a regular thrift store. So I had this guy listed for $34. I did have this for about 3 months. It is a very summery style. I listed for $34 and I got an offer for $28, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost at the bins, this brought my profit to $24.52. I do love my Eileen Fisher. If you have been watching me for any amount of time, you know exactly how much I love Eileen Fisher. Next up here, now this was kind of a surprise. I grabbed this on a whim just a few weeks ago. This is a vintage skirt from the 90s. It is from a brand called Tweeds, which I believe was a pretty high-end brand back in the day. This is 100% linen, and then it's fully lined, but the lining is like nylon. I remember when I first really took a close look at that, I was like, why even bother? The whole point of having linen is to have that beautiful breathability. So honestly, if this was mine and I was keeping it, I would probably just cut out the whole lining. Unnecessary. It's not see-through, so I wouldn't be surprised if the person who bought this does the same. Either way, this is in like impeccable condition. It's definitely vintage from the 90s. I'm gonna say early 90s, just going on the style. It is a maxi length. Again, 100% linen in kind of like a railroad stripe. I guess that's the best way you could describe the stripe on that. It is like mitered on the side, so it kind of like adds shape to the body despite it being kind of a shapeless silhouette. But either or, it was a beautiful skirt. I just anticipated sitting on it for a little bit longer. So I had this listed for only a week, and I actually had a lot of interest in it. So I've never seen this brand before. It does feel familiar, like I might have seen it in my mom's closet as a kid, but either way, I will definitely be taking a second look anytime I see a piece by them in the future. So I had this listed for $29 for 1 week, and I got an offer for $21, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $18.56. I'm always floored when I can move a vintage piece that quick. I always anticipate that vintage will move a little bit slower unless it's something that's like really like hot at the moment. I thought I would sit on that for a couple months before it's sold. Next up here is this beautiful crochet lace tank from Trina Turk. Trina Turk is definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. Very, very, very expensive brand. I believe she sold it like sack. I've sold a couple pieces from Trina Turk and have made great profit on all of them. This is again like a cotton crochet lace, beautiful condition. It doesn't feel like it's really been worn all that much. And then what I love here is that the straps, so the straps go really narrow over the top of the shoulders and they're made of silk grosgrain. Little details, that is my thing. This was one that I found in the dead of winter, but I will pick up Trina Turk anytime I see a piece. And pretty much any piece of any age. Like just recently I sold this like colorful geometric dress that was definitely of 2009 ilk and it sold for like $58. So I will pick them up. People love Trina Turk. They love the bold colors. They love the patterns. This actually feels a little bit off brand for Trina Turk. Usually her stuff is very vivid and colorful and geometric, and this feels very subtle and subdued. So either way, I'll still get it. It's a beautiful top. So this guy I did have for about 4 months. Again, not surprised. I found this in February and I had it listed for $38 and I got an offer for $29, which I did accept with a $1 cost of the bins. This was a Mercari sale. This brought my profit to $28 even. But a great sale. I love selling things on Mercari. Next up, this is a cute little white button-down shirt from Free People. It looks like a super lightweight linen. It is not linen, but it does look like a super lightweight linen. I had actually bought this for myself at a thrift store and never really grabbed it. So I decided to put it up for sale. It just never really fit me quite right, but either way, it's a nice little shirt. This is, I will say, this is a perfect example of something that I would generally not buy for resale from Free People. There's just not enough beside the name to list to get eyeballs on it, right? So it's just a plain white button-down shirt, and given the keywords that I can use for this, lightweight, white button-down shirt, long sleeve, whatever it is, it's just not enough to differentiate it from the millions and millions and millions of other white, lightweight button-down shirts that are out there. So definitely not something, especially if you are sourcing at that higher dollar number, definitely not something that I would touch from Free People if we're talking about buying specifically for resale. Now, this is something that I bought for myself, so it's kind of not a huge deal. I did buy it while I was outsourcing. I always figure that anything I buy, I'm going to eventually sell anyway, so that's how I function. So I paid $6.40 for this. I believe I got this at one of my local Savers locations, which tends to be a higher dollar cost than any of the other thrift stores in the area. So I had this listed for $28. I took an offer for $22. I was just happy to move this on out of my closet, and I bought it about a year ago. So with that $6.40 cost, this brought my profit to $9.40. Happy to move this guy on, happy it's gonna go and get some wear. Again, this was like a failed purchase for myself, so not a big deal with that higher cost of acquisition. Next up is this great little t-shirt from Vuori. Now, Vuori is one of those brands that, at least for right now, I put in the always buy category. People really, really love it. It's kind of red hot. This is about as insignificant as you can get for a Vuori piece. It's just a slub cotton pocket t-shirt, and it doesn't matter. It will still sell. But you want to keep your eyes out for like the jogger pants. People are obsessed with the jogger pants, the leggings. I especially love, my favorite thing to find from Vuori are the kind of long sleeve like sweatshirts. Those in particular sell the fastest for me, and for good reason. Like I personally love Vuori things. I have several pieces in my comfy wardrobe, and I understand the hype. Vuori was one of the first like action sports companies, because they were like a startup a couple years back. I'll never forget this. Vuori, which is a very new company, a little bit older than that, but still pretty young. They took a round of funding, and if you are unfamiliar with the process of like getting rounds of funding as a startup, part of that process is that you have to get a valuation. And that's basically what they base their investment on, right? So if you're a startup and you're getting your first round of valuation, say you get a valuation of $10 million with an investment of $1 million. And there's a formula that VC companies use to do this, but Vuori, I want to say it was in like 2020 or 2021. Now, granted, remember where we were in 2021, everybody was wearing sweatpants. They got a valuation of $4 billion. Billion with a B. So I'll never forget it. At the time I was working with a startup and I was heavily involved with a funding round at the moment. And I was scared for their lives. Because what happens if you get an overvaluation and you get a huge investment? So that would be what? 4 billion valuation would get you a cash injection of about $400 million. So maybe they were looking to like build their own factory or whatever the case may be. But if you don't stand up to that valuation in your first year, you're in trouble. You're in trouble as like the CEO, you're in trouble as the C-suite. You really have to live up to that valuation. So I don't know how they're doing. Obviously, people still love it. They're sold in all the like high-end sports stores. The quality of everything is great. So hopefully they're doing great with it. But I remember seeing that and being absolutely terrified for them. A $4 billion valuation on a company that had like 15 SKUs is a crazy number. So anyway, I had this listed for $28 and within 1 week I got an offer for $19. Again, this is just a t-shirt. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $14.20. Let me know if you all think that that's crazy as well. So in the startup world, to get a valuation over $1 billion, you are considered what they call a unicorn. Like that is the term that they use in the venture funding world. And typically when you see those high valuations like that, it means that you have something that is super valuable. So when you think about things like Meta, now obviously Meta is massive and it's well out of this space, but when Meta was young and first building out its product, Meta to you and me as users is free. That means that our data is the quantifiable product. That's what's valuable to investors. So when you think about a product that sells just sportswear and doesn't have consumer data of some form, where's the value? I don't know. For me, even with inflation, the way that inflation's gone, I think it's a pretty crazy number. And I still think it's a pretty crazy number. And I really, really, really hope that they succeed having given that number, because for a lot of young companies, getting a valuation like that can be the kiss of death, believe it or not. Next up here, we've got this beautiful little dress from UMG. It's got this kind of cool scarf print. This is from UMG Plus, and I never find plus size pieces from UMG. Pretty green, it's got these sheer sleeves. They're split in 2 places. I don't know if you can really see that. So you got a split up here, it's joined at the elbow, split down at the bottom, and then it's still kind of a bell sleeve. UMG is one of those brands. It is a boutique brand, but people know it and people love it. Pretty much of all the boutique brands, with the exception of maybe like Beach Lunch Lounge, because that has a very distinct aesthetic to it, UMG moves the fastest for me. Now it's never gonna like light the world on fire price-wise, but for its starting price, for like its retail price, it does resell very, very well. Now I don't know if they make limited runs of things and that's how they drive demand, or if it's just super fast fashion where they make it one and done, like they don't remake anything. Either way, people love this brand. Honestly, I get more for a lot of UMG pieces than I do for certain Free People pieces. So this one I had listed for $32, and my sidekick sent an offer for $28 after just a week and a half live. Now again, the fact that this was a plus size piece, I think helped move it a little bit quicker. So a week and a half, and then with a $1 cost from the bins, this brought my profit to $19.38. Love it when these pieces move in and out of my closet super quickly. Next up, we've got a 2-piece bundle, and these things sold super quickly. So these are both Tommy Bahama dresses. They're both size medium, and they were both in like new condition. So it does have an elastic waist, so the top blouse is out just a little bit, and then the skirt's a little bit more on the bodycon side. But it's this super soft, super stretchy fabric, which I just love. It's this pretty black and white graphic print with these little tassel ties on the split neck. And then this one I just adore. This is a pretty midi dress, and it's got this like faux wrap skirt with a ruffle around the hem. It is high-low and could not be more resort wear if it tried. So I figured when I found these that they came from the same closet. It would make sense. They were both in great condition. I found them in the same place and they were the same size. Unless there was some kind of liquidation from the brand, but I doubt it because these were the only 2 that I found. And that blue and white dress is just so, so cute. I love, like I see a lot of striped dresses. I don't think I've ever seen anything that kind of vivid, that that vibrant like Hawaii blue. So I had these guys listed somewhere in the 30s each individually. So the total price of the two of them I think was $62 or $64. The bundle price was $54 and I got an offer for $45, which I did accept. These sold, I can't remember if it was same day or the next day that after I listed them, but either way, it was like within 24 hours. With a $2 total cost on these, that brought my profit to $34 even. And I hope she loves them. She is officially vacation ready. Next up, now I've had this for a little bit of a while, and this is the most beautiful little like wisp of a skirt. This is all mulberry silk with this pretty scarf print, and it's from Zara. This is like an older Zara piece. I wanted to keep that on the pants hanger because I don't want to crush this whole area. Yeah, I know it's gonna get crushed in transit, but I just wanted to protect it as long as I could. It is absolutely beautiful. It is a wrap style skirt, and this, I've had this for a while. I want to say 5 or 6 months. So I have had more interest in this little skirt than in pretty much anything else in my closet. Now, this did sell on Poshmark, but on Depop in particular, and I don't know, let me know if any of you guys have the same experience. Every once in a blue moon, I'll have an item, and it feels random. Like for this example, it's this skirt. But sometimes, like once it was like just a random pair of Free People pants. To me, it feels like there's no rhyme or reason, unless there's a situation where like an influencer wore it or whatever. I will have these certain pieces that will just go nuts with likes and offers that, you know, they're kind of like non-binding offers on Depop, you know, where somebody will send an offer and then just like not end up purchasing it. This was one of those pieces, and I've probably gotten over the time that I've had it 20 or 30 offers on it, and nobody's ever kind of sealed the deal. I'm trying to figure out the rhyme and reason for which pieces end up, you know, having that happen, but either way, I'm glad this finally moved. I'm happy to move this on from my closet. So I had this listed at $29. My sidekick sent an offer for $27, which was accepted. I did have it for about 5 or 6 months, and with a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $18.58. Again, super happy to move this on and finally get this a new home. It's been on the top of my radar ever since I bought it, and I'm happy to finally move it out of the closet. Next up is this absolutely adorable Free People little bralette. Now this is super cute. It's got like kind of crochet daisies on it. It's in fantastic condition. There is a bralette that is in the same vein that every company in the world has duped, and a lot of people already have it. And I've certainly only seen a couple of these in butter yellow. And the woman who picked it up was so sweet. She sent me an offer, and I did accept it, and she was like, "Thank you so much for accepting my offer," and proceeded to tell me how she's had this top and she loves it, and her dog also loves it, and her dog had recently eaten hers. And Free People doesn't make them anymore, so she was left to the secondhand market to find one to replace it. And luckily mine was in pretty much brand new. I'm always happy when it's something like this that I know is really going to be appreciaed by the buyer. So I had this guy listed for $24 for about a week, and she sent me an offer for $17, which I did accept. These kind of bralettes from Free People reliably will get between like $15 and $20. Sometimes a little bit higher, but in general, that's kind of what I bank on. So with the $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $12.60, and I hope she keeps this away from her sweet puppy. Next up here, we are moving right along. This is a t-shirt from Rag & Bone, and this is not Rag & Bone jeans, which is kind of like their denim-centric line. I think it's a little bit cheaper than their main line. This is definitely from their main line. There's that tag right there, and I gotta say, this feels so nice, so beautifully made. If you can tell, like you have the dye on the outside and the dye on the inside of the shirt is a slightly different color. And I think the reason they did that was so that these kind of rolled hems have a little bit of a contrast. Now this does have a little loop off at the bottom. Knowing Rag & Bone, I would not be surprised if that was intended by design, because they do make distressed pieces, and that would definitely fall into that category. And otherwise the t-shirt's in fantastic condition, so either way, I did disclose it, I just wasn't sure if it was intentional or not. Very, very expensive. I can't remember the name of this shirt. I do have it, I'll put it down on the screen down below, but They all have, you know, similar sell-through prices. They're all kind of similarly sought after. So I'm definitely always excited to find a piece, especially when I find it in the bins. Now I had this guy listed for about 2 months, and I had it listed for $39. And I got an offer for $30, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $23 even. And I'm super happy that that is going on to a new life, because those rag and bone t-shirts are beautifully made. And finally, oh my God, this was such a cool find. So this is a piece that I found again in the bins. And it's just got all these beautiful embellishment details. This is silk, like the bottom tie here is silk. This is cotton lawn, this is jersey. It's got like beautiful embroidery and these like little mirror paillettes all over. This is from a brand called A Common Thread, which I believe was sold at Anthropologie at one point at least. And you know how sometimes when you're going through Anthropologie, you have pieces that kind of fit in line price-wise with like their main line. So like a shirt like this would run, I don't know, like $128. And then you have the kind of special brands that they bring in that they collab with, where a shirt like this would run about $278 or $300 some odd dollars. This is one of those brands. So this was probably a good $200 to $300 shirt. It is new without tags. It still has the little extra paillettes here. Fast forward for a minute while I deal with these ties. Trying to get this wrapped so I don't crush these ties and have them come out of the bag like crinkled. So either way, I knew that I had something special when I picked this up. It was just, you know, I am somebody who has this like forever directive that if it is weird and well made, I'm going to pay attention, because those are the kind of things that sell really well. Sure, bread and butter is great, bread and butter sells, they're all kind of reliable sellers, but when you find something that is like unusual and well made, that means that generally there's somebody looking for it, because typically things that are super unusual don't get made unless there is a demand for it. And this is definitely one of those cases. It was so unusual, so beautifully made, all the materials were really nice, all the finishing was really nice. So I knew I had something special here. So I had this listed for $65, and I had it listed for a month and a half. It's another one that I had a lot of looks at, I had a lot of likes on it, I had a lot of interest on it. But ultimately I got an offer for $50, which I gladly accepted. And with the $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $43.37. And I am over the moon to be getting this onto its new home and getting it some use. It's things like that always break my heart when I see them in the bins, because they are so special, and I know that there are people out there that like really want stuff like that. Those are the kind of finds that just like keep me going. But that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. Thank you so much for hanging with me while I literally get my work done. I'm sorry if this felt a little bit more rushed than usual. I'm just running so late, and I do not want to get to a point where the post office is closed by the time I get there. So guys, if you did have fun, please consider leaving a like on this video. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you in the next one.